Here in the contact section, we have the name, phone, email, the created date, last activity, meaning what the last conversation you had with someone via text, email, or phone call. Your tags. Those are the main sections that show. Now you can add columns here if you want to address. You can add as many kind of columns as you want. You can make your own. I have created, these are the main ones that you use just for the visual here. We also have what's called smart lists here, which I use quite a bit for our flows and for what you'll want to do to set yours up. You're going to want to create 3 of these, which work by filter. We have a lead generators section, realtors lead generators, realtors contacted, and realtors never contacted. Now, the reason why I also have a send offer section, which is kind of experimental. You can basically take whatever is in your pipeline and create a filter for it. But here in Smart List, what we're going to do mainly is deal with these 3. Okay. Now, what are these 3 sections for? What are these 3 smart lists about? Well, they're all for realtors, obviously. Never contacted are all my realtors who I've never actually spoken to. If you can see, there's no last activity here. Some of them have emails, some of them have phone numbers. I think the way I filtered it out, they all must have phone numbers. So tag is realtor. Do not dial is no. That means they're not on the do not dial list. They're not on the DNC list. They haven't had an undelivered text message. This is something that I used to use and not using it as much anymore. So that tag doesn't really matter. The last activity is empty. So that's important. Tag is state, North Carolina, right? So that lets us know where these people are. They're in North Carolina. Phone is not empty. Tag is not Mara. That's someone in my system, my VA. All right. Tag is not possible buyer. So that's another tag that you don't need to know what it doesn't mean anything. Tag is not unresponsive. That's someone who doesn't follow up. So these tags are just part of my system. You'd probably want to do the unresponsive, the phone not being empty, because you definitely want people with phone numbers. You tag state is North Carolina or whatever state you're going to work in. Now, you may also want to limit this to city. So for me, I also have tags of any city. So it's it goes like this, any of these tags, right? So when you're doing the filters, you set it up, you can do is not empty. So as long as it has tags, but we're not going to do that. It's empty, that has no tags. But what we're doing, you can do is 1 tag basically, or is 2 different tags, but we're doing any of these tags. It has to be any of these. So really in North Carolina, I'm only focusing on several places. So I'm only tagging those places. We may add more as time goes by, but mainly focusing on these places. So agents who are tagged with these tags will show up here in my list. So those are basically the filters that I'm using to save this never contacted list. So these are people who are never contacted. Now, the second list here is the contacted list. It basically has all the same filters, right? It's not New Western. A lot of agents turn out to be New Westerners, so you have to get them in their own kind of thing there. So these are also assigned to me. That's another one. I also want first name not to be empty, because I found that I was getting lists that were not showing their first name, and that kind of messes things up. So I put that there. You don't necessarily have to put it there. So also these workflows that you're seeing, you saw this on the last one. I don't want them in particular workflows. but it doesn't matter if you have them in your workflows. This is just the way I want to do it. I just want to make sure that I'm crossing all I kind of overdo it somewhat, but I filter for workflows. If somebody's in a workflow, I don't want to contact them while they're in that workflow. You may want to, you may not want to. Also don't want them to be in any follow-up sequence, right? So this lets me know that they've been contacted and they're not in any follow-up sequence. These are people who I have contacted. Now, lead generators is all the same as contacted, right? All the same filters, but it also adds the tag lead generator. Now, how does that tag get added? I have an automation workflow that automatically, if someone gets put into the opportunity section, meaning they've given me a property, I've stuck them into this system, then that automatically will make them a lead generator. So meaning that this person has brought me leads or properties. So all these people are people who have brought me properties. There's 42 of them right now. They've all brought me properties, and I will go to these people, more likely follow up with them. These are the people who are high priority. They're the people that you're going to want to follow up with often, right? As opposed to these people who you've contacted, maybe spoken to them multiple times, but they have not bore any fruit. So these people are actually generating properties. Now, I will also have a section for ones that I've closed properties with, but I have not created that lane yet. But may be helpful for you. So that is part of the contact section. Another thing is when you're in these sections, so how does this help you once you've got these things set up? Well, now, if I haven't contacted anybody, this is kind of where I start in the beginning of my day. If I want to do some outreach, I'm doing, say I select these 20 records, these first 20. First, I'm going to tag them with my name because I'll be the one who these leads will now become my leads. If there's nobody else in my system, I want to tag them with my name. So I'm going to go in, click the check button, click these 20 records. Now you can go to the next page and click 20 more if you feel like you can handle texting 40 people at one time. That's fine. And then I go over to the workflow here, and then I can start them in a workflow, new agent blast workflow, right? And that will then begin a workflow which will send them a series of texts and try to get their attention, and hopefully they'll get back to us and we can start texting with them, and that begins a workflow. Another way, you can also trigger workflows with tags. So say your workflow is first touch, so maybe you tag it first touch, and then it will automatically kick off the campaign that way, where you don't have to go to this. Sometimes you want to remove tags. Maybe you mistakenly put some tags there, or someone is no longer working, or you're no longer working a certain market. Whatever the case may be, you can remove tags from people in bulk this way as well. You can also delete contacts in bulk this way. You can send review requests. I don't use that function. You can export those contacts into a CSV file if you'd like. You can also import contacts here. This is how we get our agents into our system. Importing in Go High Level or REI Reply is very strong because it allows you to do what's called mapping, and we'll get into that later. Importing some contacts. You can also merge contacts. Sometimes I have duplicates of contacts, and some people change their last name, they get married, and we have to merge the contacts together. So that is helpful as well. Pipeline change. Don't use that much, but if you want to change these people in the pipeline, you can do that here, add all these people to. But I don't do this here because usually I think you have to change the name of the pipeline and everything. I can't remember why I don't use it, but there's a reason. Being that I don't use it, I can't explain it to you. And here you can add a single contact as well. Let's uncheck these. If you wanted to add a contact, you can do that right here in this section. that is basically the contacts section itself. There also, let me go through these two. Bulk action shows you like once you've done a workflow, here's where all the information and data and statistics comes from those actions. So if I sent that 40 person text blast out, I can come back here and see if any of them failed, that kind of thing, the status, how many of them have completed, how many of them are still waiting to complete, that sort of thing. I haven't used the restore. I guess this is if you deleted contacts, you can bring them back. Tasks. I don't really use this task list section. Not sure how that works. Company, I don't use that either, but you can search by company if you're adding agents that you pulled from realtor.com or Zillow. There is a company. When I do it, I also put their company name in there, and that you can search by company name. So say there's a certain particular company that you know has the most listings in an area. Say it's Keller Williams, right? So you could search Keller Williams here, and all the Keller Williams agents would pull up. That might be a benefit to you if you want to do things that way. And here's where you manage your smart lists. So again, you have smart lists. You can move them. If you see all of these, they only show you what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, first 5. So you can move these around, reorganize them as you like. You can also share them with other people. They're exclusive to your account, your login, your name. Nobody else on your team will have access to your smart list unless you share it with them. And here you can share it with everyone, or you can just share it with one person, or share it with numerous people, however you want to do it. And then you have settings within here that I don't mess with, so I don't even know what that means. But that is everything for the contact section for now.